Today on Cooking with Coach Kati and Ma, we are making homemade pasta. And specifically today we're making lasagna because we love lasagna, so we're making some lasagna noodles. And Ma found some incredible different methods on how to make homemade pasta. So this one is a new one for us.
Yes, because everything that I looked at and watched, there's the traditional making the well in the flour and mixing the egg in with the fork, which is great because then you don't have a bunch of equipment, but I don't like the mess that it makes. It's kind of slimy. And then the other sites I looked at said to use a food processor, and oops, we don't have one. So I thought, well, we'll give it a try with the bread hook and do it with the KitchenAid, which has worked really well to bring the dough together. So without further ado, we have 300 grams of flour and a teaspoon of salt. I'm just going to kind of whisk that together.
Different than making the pizza dough, where we wanted to make sure that we didn't put the salt in because we had the yeast to rise. We don't have to worry about yeast rising for noodles.
Right. There is some gluten made when you need it, but right, we don't want them to rise. They'll puff when you cook them. Sure. Can't fall apart, right? So 300 grams of flour, and then a lot of recipes call for a number of eggs. Problem is, all eggs don't weigh the same. So I did find a recipe. It called for 185 grams of egg. And the way I got this was to do 3 whole eggs plus 2 yolks. Now to get it right at 185, I had to scoop out a little bit of white. I could have maybe gone the other way and added 10 grams of water, but it would be okay. It would just make a softer noodle, and we want it good and sturdy because we're making lasagna.
Yep.
So I'm just going to give these guys a quick whisk just to break them up. Perfect. And I'm going to set the mix master at low. Unlock it so I can get it in there. I'm going to kind of do the water well method in that I'm going to just dump the eggs right there in the center. Turn it on low and let it come together.
Now, if you don't have a food scale at home, like we have a food scale, what would be a good secondary method if you couldn't weigh out your eggs?
I guess to go with maybe
The 100 gram to 1 egg ratio that we've seen quite a bit?
No, it's not quite that, because it's 185 grams, and 3 eggs have been going right about 155 grams in the multiple times that I've weighed them. So I would definitely recommend just adding another yolk. We have made pasta with 3 eggs with 300 grams of flour, and it has come out well. You can knock this down here a little bit. For flour, the reason it's best to measure the flour is if it's very packed, a cup measure can be different than as if it's been sifted. So I read or heard somewhere that it was approximately a heaping 3/4 cup was 100 grams. And we've not made it that way. We've measured every time. So maybe that's my next experiment to see how that goes, to see how close that really is. But I would recommend, as far as the eggs go, to, I got a couple grams still sitting in the bowl. I would recommend at least 3 eggs and 1 egg yolk, and it'll come together for you. I think it comes together a little bit better. It's a little bit smoother, silkier. And so I'm just knocking the flour down off the side. I'm not going to do this until it is totally together, because there is a kneading process to this, but I want to have it close. just pull it, you're just pulling it together, and once you get it together is when the kneading process really begins. So I've got a really good base of dough in the center, and then it's crumbly like pie crust around the edges. So I think I'm just about ready to dump it out and actually start working the dough. Man, some pasta, buddy.
We're making lasagna.
You're on funny camera. Alright. I think that's good. So, I'm going to pull this out of here. It's very, very thick. And it's very sticky. So you really have to work it together. But not as sticky as if you had that slimy egg on your hand from being in the water well, or in the flour well. So you can see it's kind of crumbly like pie dough, but it comes together when you squeeze it. So I'm just going to start working this all in, and just like you're kneading bread dough. And it comes together fairly quickly. And as soon as I get that all together, then we'll start the actual kneading timing. Can you make this thing go away?
Sure.
Thank you. I'm going to get all this flour, everything worked into this. So my hands, I'm going to put that back on there. It's kind of sticky, so it's picking it up pretty good. We've been making pasta a lot because, oops, the other day we made spaghetti and we didn't have any pasta. Well, we did, but it was a teaser box. It was only half full.
As the little boys have gotten bigger, they're eating about the same portions as Ma and I as far as how much noodles that they'll eat. So it was funny at the beginning when we were trying to figure out what we wanted to eat, we'd come up with, oh, well, we could have this for dinner, and like, oh, but we're missing this ingredient, or oh, we can have that for dinner. It's like, oh, but we don't have any of this or that. And so obviously being on quarantine, we're, limited. It's not like you just rush out to the grocery store on a whim anymore. So I was like, well, we have frozen spaghetti sauce that we made, which we'll eventually video at some point. We have
Ground meat.
We had ground meat. It's like we don't need to make any meatballs. Like we just keep it simple. I was like, and I'm sure we have pasta in there. So I was like, we don't even need to make pasta. Like we'll just basically make it as quick and easy of a dinner. We had some arugula. I was gonna make an arugula salad. So we're like, great. And then we get in here and yeah, we find the teaser box of spaghetti, and I was like, I could just make some pasta. I was going, and it honestly didn't really take any more work. I mean, I
Didn't take that much more time.
I made the dough, and then the baby woke up, so I nursed the baby and did baby stuff, and then I got about halfway through rolling out the pasta and was doing stuff with the bigger boys and getting them ready for, they had a soccer lesson and practice and all of these things. I'm down in, not far, just down in the garage, but still have to do shoes and socks and all the things. And so then Ma took over, and
We still did dinner in an hour and 10 minutes.
yeah, it
wasn't bad.
yeah.
And we got fancy. We made some Rhodes rolls.
Oh yeah.
And I let them thaw, and then I rolled them into breadsticks and painted them with garlic butter.
It was amazing.
It was the early bird special at the Olive Garden.
Yeah, so
It was
funny.
pretty fantastic. Okay, this is still just a wee bit sticky, but don't really want to add any more flour because it's still hydrating. It's got to absorb it, but it's not sticking bad. It's very, very, it's very silky. It's very soft. We've made some that have been kind of dry, but I think we were just weren't being patient enough, and it was the using the straight up egg measure rather than a weight is what got us. Now, it says to knead the dough for 8 to 10 minutes. And until it comes together, it's just real silky and real smooth. This is where it's building some gluten in it.
Would it be different if you were using a gluten-free flour?
I don't know. We're gonna have to give that one a go. You'd still have to knead it, I'm sure, just to bring it all together.
I just wonder what the consistency would be like. We should make a round, because I think we have some gluten-free flour.
Yeah, we should try it.
For a future video, we will make gluten-free pasta.
Yeah, I think you had a friend that made some. She said it was real delicate to work with. She did some gluten-free noodles. And it was kind of temperamental. This is kind of foolproof. Now we just used all-purpose flour. We've not actually made it with the 00 flour because we haven't taken the time to get online and find it or incur that expense. It's nice when, after it's rolled and lay it out to dry a little, if you have a little semolina flour, it adds a nice touch to it. Very traditional. So I don't know how long I've been doing this. I'm sure it hasn't been 8 minutes, but it's real nice and smooth. All the flour's worked into it. So we're going to take this and we're going to wrap it up and let it rest for about 15 minutes. And earlier, to make sure the whole dough hook thing actually worked, I already made us a batch, so we can just keep on moving. We don't have to come back. I'm going to wrap this one because we're going to make 2 lasagnas.
Ta-da! Okay, so we have a pasta roller. If you don't have a pasta roller, you can absolutely use a rolling pin. This definitely does make it easier. Ours, the way that the thickness of the dough goes, the largest setting is 7 and it goes all the way down to 1. There's other pasta rollers out there that go the opposite way, so maybe 1 is your largest setting and maybe 7 or 10 or 15 is your thinnest dough. So I'm gonna set this on 7 so that we get a nice roll out, and then we'll continuously, with each round, we'll go a little thinner, a little thinner, a little thinner.
You want to cut this in 4 pieces?
And I floured the front of the roller just so as we're bringing out the dough, we can kind of set it out and get it nice and floured. That way it doesn't stick together.
Yeah, when one video that I watched, they used way more flour than we had used, and our dough didn't break, so I'm going with it. So, secret to the rolling machine is as you roll it, you push in on the handle. Once it catches, just let it go. I'm gonna go ahead and probably do that one again. I'm gonna do that end again. And it's best to do this in small increments, so that way it doesn't tear the dough. If you try to go too small too fast, it tears the dough. At least in my experience. And some people roll it multiple times on each setting. I like to do it twice because the dough will stretch and then it'll come back.
Just like if you're rolling out a pie crust or. Oh yeah, you can definitely fill. So as it gets thinner too, the crank is a little bit stiffer. And you can even see that coming, just sliding back together.
That's nice and floured. I'm wondering if in some move or some point in the past that maybe our dial got spun and that's why it's
maybe.
seemingly backwards. But this, we're down to 2. And we're gonna leave it at 2 because I'd like it a little thicker for the lasagna noodles.
You want to make sure they hold up to that pasta sauce and all of the cheese.
All the cheese. Alright, yeah, go ahead and run it one more time. Then we're just gonna lay it out on some flour to rest and get almost leathery. Dry out a little bit, which will make it easier to cut. It'll have time to relax so that when we cut it, it won't just shrink down and we'll be able to cut noodles that actually fit the pan.
So that's 1/4 of it.
I can probably just stop it and all the rest. Okay, we've had the pasta's all rolled out. It's been sitting for about half hour. About halfway through, I flipped it. It's pretty sturdy. You can pick it up. It doesn't stretch. So
It almost feels like a little dry, kind of like leathery, is what how you described it.
yeah, it's we're gonna use a pizza cutter. You could use a chef knife, but I think this will work really well. I'm gonna go ahead and cut it in quarters, and then drop it in the water to parboil it. They're gonna be random sized pieces, but when you buy pasta, it never fits the pan right, and you have to cut it anyways.
So if somebody was maybe making a decorative lasagna or a holiday lasagna and they wanted it to be perfect, something we decided that we weren't going to do was square up the edges, but that's something that you absolutely could
Sure.
do, is light it all up, and you will have a lot more waste. But you could actually take that waste pasta if you wanted to and just freeze it and make it just, for...
You could even just slice it in little pieces, especially if you have kids and you make spaghetti sauce and have it in the freezer and then just blast it in some boiling water and
Easy peasy.
voila,
So
lunch.
even though then your waste wouldn't actually be waste.
Right. Yeah, because it has set and leathered, I guess had we done it right at the beginning and squared it up, we could have reused and re-rolled that pasta to get another one. I'm gonna do these 4 noodles at a time, and I'm gonna boil them for about 2 minutes. I have boiling salted water, quite a bit of salt, probably about 2 tablespoons of salt. If you have issues with salt, do you? You don't have to use it. Kind of dropping these in and letting it come back up to the boil, so I don't pull the pot. And then I'm gonna let them go about 2 minutes.
And then when you're taking them out, is there any special tool that you need? I think we're just using tongs, but is there anything fancy that you could have?
This or one of those net ones?
We have one.
We have one, yeah. I'm not sure where
It's in the pasta drawer in the bottom underneath the microwave.
Yeah, so, and if you were doing the smaller pasta or spaghetti, that would absolutely be a good thing to use. I a lot of times just use this baby. Just dip out, and then if we're just doing regular pasta, I just dip them out and drop it right in the sauce.
Nice.
Alright, well, I'm gonna go ahead and pull these up. And I'm gonna lay them out here on a paper towel, cool a bit, and then when they're all done, we can put together some lasagna.
Awesome. Well, then we're gonna finish boiling these, and when we are ready to make the lasagna, we'll come right back.
Okay. Alright, we have noodles boiled all over the
They're
counter.
beautiful.
And we're gonna go ahead and build a lasagna. I don't know if I've ever actually read how you're visually supposed to build it. I know some people build it with sauce and ricotta and all the cheeses all in the same layer. We personally like the ricotta. So we build ours with a nice thick layer of ricotta right in the middle, which works good if people don't like ricotta, because then they can just pick it right out.
And we did our ricotta. I did, because we're actually gonna make 2 lasagnas. We're just gonna show you one. But I did 1.5 containers of whole fat ricotta cheese with about 1/2 cup chopped fresh curly parsley, and then 3 eggs. And I whipped my eggs, chopped up the parsley, and then folded it all into the ricotta until it became nice and smooth. So the egg is going to really help with that ricotta to grow as it bakes, and it gives just the most amazing texture. We love it, so yeah.
All right, so we're gonna start with, a little less than a cup, just enough to cover the bottom so that your noodles don't stick and you can get a base going.
And if you freeze it, which this is an excellent dinner to freeze, especially if you're gonna go through all the trouble of making your own pasta, make 2 or 3 of them, freeze one, give one away, or this is excellent for holidays. We actually eat this usually at Christmas time. This is our Christmas lasagna. But if you do decide to freeze it, that sauce on the bottom, you can actually just add a little bit of water or a little bit more sauce when you're reheating it, or a little bit of wine, depending on how fancy you want to get.
Doesn't hurt.
But it'll not only keep the noodles from sticking, but then it lends to digging out the pasta, so you get nice, beautiful pieces when you cut it.
All right. That worked pretty good. Maybe you want to grab some scissors over there and just nip those ends.
Sure.
All right. Now comes the game of Tetris.
So we need a thin enough piece. That's pretty good.
You can overlap a little. I mean, it's not like we're doing it like if you do them and you don't cook them first.
Then you have to
do the dried
make sure.
noodles and you don't want to overlap them. This isn't going to matter at all.
Nice.
All right. So then I'm going to go with a nice layer of sauce here. I'm going to go with the good cup. Spread it around. Now we use a lot of cheeses, and we use cheeses that you might not think of. That's basically because one time my mom was making it, and she was short on cheese. So the only other white cheese she had was some Swiss. Oh my goodness, the difference that 4 ounces of Swiss cheese makes in a lasagna is amazing.
So we have here, I have Parmesan cheese, I have Monterey Jack, I have sliced provolone, I have baby Swiss, I have a mixed Italian cheese, all the mozzarella, and then of course ricotta.
Okay, well I'm going to don't want to use a whole lot of Swiss, but I just like to take and break this and rip it into little pieces and just scatter it about. It just gives it great flavor. You want to do a provolone?
Sure.
And do the same with the provolone. Probably try to do maybe like 1.5 slices of Swiss. Say that 3 times fast, right? And we didn't even have any wine. Per layer.
Sure. There you go. I used 2 pieces of provolone, by the way.
Mama, what is that?
Lasagna noodles. Cool, huh?
They're too long.
They're too long? Well, don't worry, we're gonna cut them.
Look
Mama,
at
can you
this.
open this?
Sure, I'm gonna help you.
And we really like the Monterey Jack
But
and
doesn't,
the
wait, Mama.
Detroit pizza, so why not? We'll just try a little bit of it in here. See how this goes. Can't hurt it. So I did some Italian, provolone, Swiss, little Jack. Gonna go a little Parm. And then a nice covered over, fill it all in, hide the sauce with the mozzarella. Beautiful. Yeah, a little more right there. And I'm gonna go ahead and other way.
Kid emergency, you know, I had to wash some hands and help with a piece of candy. And
Candy?
apparently he had still one of his prize. My boys are just getting out of pre-K and kindergarten, and since it's the end of the school year, Campbell, my youngest, just finished pre-K and he got a gift surprise from his teachers, and one of the things in there was some candy, and so
Yeah, I'm just gonna
that was his. He was having issues opening it.
All right. Well, I like the weakest bit of sauce on the noodle before we put the ricotta on.
Perfect.
Spread it all around.
I'm gonna dump this in a couple of plops, just so it makes it easier to spread, and that way we're not raking the sauce with us as we go. Helps it get a little bit more even also as you're spreading it. Getting it all the way out into the corners, nice and thick.
Looking good.
Yeah. And then it's like, I'm gonna need a little bit more.
Yeah, give it another good. Yeah, there you go. We like ricotta.
That's so good. And again, if ricotta is not your jam, the nice thing about having that good solid layer is if you don't like it, you can always pick it out.
And then there's also, when we want, I was looking at that I want to try is, instead of ricotta, that layer is a bechamel. Oh my gosh, it looked amazing.
Yep.
So I'm just gonna do a little mixed Italian cheese on top of here.
You'll keep it kind of cheesy.
Uh-huh. All right, another layer of noodles.
I'm really excited about taking these leftover pieces and making like stroganoff or kid, you know, just whatever kind of pasta.
I like these bigger pieces. All right, find the skinny one.
And that's kind of nice too to know that if when you're cutting your pieces into quarters from the long lengths, that it's absolutely fine if they're not perfectly even, because you're going to need potentially different thicknesses and widths.
Seem to be grabbing an extra tablespoon each time. We'll start it with that.
I like it. That looks amazing.
It smells great.
So then, if you were to freeze this, what would the steps that you would take to ensure a great bake? Would you bake it first and then reheat it? You could.
You could, or you can just go ahead and freeze it like this. I like to do them in the aluminum foil pans, and then I like to set that into a nice sturdy pan, or at least on a cookie sheet, and then add. Oh, it's best if it can thaw, like in the refrigerator overnight, but still add maybe, like you said, a quarter cup of water. That might be a little much, maybe like 3 tablespoons of water, or mix it with wine, and then foil over the top of it and bake it just as normal. Bake it for an hour, take off the foil, bake it for another 10 minutes to crisp up the cheese on top, and it's just as good.
Yeah, and one of the things we do also is like when you're freezing it, then laying that first layer as a piece of plastic, a saran wrap, so that way it keeps the moisture in and doesn't dry it out in the freezer.
Seals it. Even when they come with their own lid, I feel like it seals it better.
Yeah,
I like doing it with that and a piece of aluminum foil even over the lids that come with those foil pans.
So we're gonna do another layer of the crazy cheeses. So a little bit of everybody. And did you do the Monterey Jack in that bottom one?
I did. I didn't do a lot of it, but I put a little. I thought it was so good in the Detroit pizza. It's like a strong mozzarella. I liked it quite a bit.
I like it too. Delicious.
Give it a little bit of just Parm, because Parm's the bomb.
My kids call the Parmesan cheese sprinkles. That's doing life right there. If they think of it as sprinkles.
Until they ask for an ice cream, that'd be weird.
That would be weird.
Until we figure out how to put the garlic in it.
Right? Be amazing. So this is our last layer?
Yeah, no, we're gonna go one on top.
Oh.
I'm gonna do one more.
One more noodle?
Yep,
I like it.
because that one passed the gram lift test. It has to have a specific weight. So there you go. I'm gonna take this nice big one.
So growing up, my grandfather cooked most of the meals, not my grandmother, and so we have a lot of recipes that we'll share with you over the next little while. Like I just posted sausage and peppers, and was that one of the ones that Da had written down from watching it on TV?
No, we actually had the Mama Leone's cookbook. No, the one that he recorded it and then wrote it all out was Julia Child's Leg of Lamb, rolled stuffed leg of lamb with mustard sauce.
Which we still eat every year for Easter.
Yeah, it's our Easter.
Without fail.
So good.
So good. And it was funny, one of the first Christmases, or first Easters that I was married, my mother-in-law had come, and I guess their tradition was ham. And the day before, that year, we had done all the food. We had done a beautiful Passover meal for Passover, and then we did Jewish Passover on Thursday, and then we did Catholic Good Friday on Friday, which was fish, because they don't eat, Catholics don't eat meat on Friday of Lent. And then Saturday, I called it like, I guess just like Southern Easter,
Just ham,
and it was
potato
ham,
salad,
yeah, like
baked
beans, basically like if you're going to a picnic or something. And then Saturday that year, Greek Orthodox Easter had also fallen on traditional or Catholic Easter, and so then we made the leg of lamb. And so my mother-in-law was like, "So what are we having today for lunch?" And I said, "Oh, we're having lamb." And she was like, "Ham?" And I was like, No, lamb." And she was like, "Ham?" And I was like, lamb. And she was like, "I don't think I like lamb." And I was like, "I encourage you to give it a try." She loved it. It's so hard not to love. It's so good.
People that say they don't like lamb, I find most of the time they just haven't had it cooked well.
That's fair. That's why I believe in trying everything 3 times. Because if you go to a restaurant and you find something amazing, you'll go to another restaurant and try it again. And if it doesn't come out as well as, say, the first time that you had it, you would still maybe potentially order it again in the future. Where if that second restaurant was your first experience where it wasn't that great, you're still going, like, you could potentially get that first restaurant as your second restaurant in the future where it's absolutely phenomenal. So if I don't like it 3 times, I probably just don't care for it. I don't know that I've found anything that I won't eat.
Just so it doesn't try to eat me first. I don't think I've done this guy. I haven't done the 2 shredded
just matzah?
Yeah, top it with that, and then I'll do that on the very top. Oh yeah, that's gonna pass the lift test for sure.
That's beautiful. So my grandparents are super great cooks. They always have like some of the most fun recipes and always the coolest kitchen tools and toys.
Yeah, this was actually a recipe out of the Toledo Blade. The sauce recipe, 1972, 3, 4. And it's we will have lasagna during the year, but it's not always with this sauce, because this sauce is Christmas Eve sauce. And we try to keep it special.
That's it. So bake it at
350 for an hour with a piece of foil over it, and then take the foil off and cook it another 10 minutes. Let it stand about 10 minutes afterwards so that everything comes back together.
That's a good time to finish off your Caesar salad if you're gonna have it, or put your rolls or your bread in the oven if you're gonna do. So like tonight, I think I'm gonna make some, I have a beautiful baguette, so I'm gonna cut it in discs and paint it with garlic butter and put it in there, so we'll have like crispy little garlic bites with it.
Should be great.
Yeah, well, we hope you enjoy. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe to the My Body GX channel. And Ma and I will be cooking all summer, so we can't wait to see you and hear from you. Hope you enjoy this recipe, and we'll see you soon.